Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Brandon and I still make videos. Today I'll be talking about cheap but great cameras for beginners in 2020. Let's get into it. If you're transitioning from using a phone, then the Canon EOS 4000D might be a great option for you. With its 18 megapixel sensor, you'll be able to achieve very sharp and crispy photos. For video, you can shoot 1080p Full HD up to 30 frames per second. It's also got a decent low light performance. The really interesting thing about this camera is that it's the most affordable on this list. My next pick is mainly for vloggers, but even if you aren't a vlogger, you'll still enjoy using this camera, and it's the Canon EOS M50. With its 4K recording at up to 30 frames per second, as well as 720p, which is still good for your Instagram stories and Instagram content at 120 frames per second. That means you can get some really cool slow-mos of some action shots. It's packing a 24 megapixel sensor, which means the photos are going to be crispy and clean. And to top it all off, it's got the Canon color science that everybody raves about. Our first Nikon entrant into this list is the D3500. Great sensor size seems to be a trend on our list, and this one is packing a 24 megapixel sensor. The low light capabilities of this camera aren't that great, so you need an additional light just to get the best quality out of it. But it still shoots 1080p at 60 frames per second, which means you can still slow it down in post. But the main selling point of this camera is the free training course that comes with it when you purchase it from resellers across South Africa. This will help you get on your feet as fast as possible. My next two cameras are a bit more expensive, but you can find them for cheaper when they're in use condition. People often ask, hey Brandon, what's a really great vlogging camera? And the first camera that comes to my mind is the Sony a6400. Why? 24 megapixel sensor, which is really great for getting all the detail from your subjects. A 180-degree tilting screen, which is great for vlogging and capturing selfies. The tilting screen is also touch enabled. Sony has really improved the color science in this camera, which means that you'll get more true to life tones straight out of the camera. What really separates this camera from the others is its real-time autofocus as well as its IAF. This means that with the correct lenses, the chances of your videos and photos being out of focus is next to none. Our list will be incomplete without a Fujifilm camera. Step in X-T20. Fujifilm has been the class leader in APS-C cameras, and the X-T20 is no exception. With 4K video at up to 30 frames per second and 720p at up to 120 frames per second, this camera is definitely a steal for the price. As synonymous with other Fujifilm cameras, the X-T20 does not offer in-body image stabilization, which means that shake and jitter will be more visible in your footage. The X-T20 comes with Fuji's great film simulations. This allows you to get almost perfect images straight out of camera. Those are my 5 cheap but great cameras to consider in 2020. But before I wrap up, I've got 2 honorable mentions. First up is the Sony a7S II, whose used condition price has significantly dropped, which is good for the buyer, but it's terrible news for us who are planning on selling our cameras to upgrade. Dubbed the king of low light, the Sony a7S II doesn't need a lot for it to look good, just because of its sensor sensitivity to light. This camera shoots really great 4K footage at 30 frames per second, as well as 1080p at up to 100 frames per second. Its 12 megapixel sensor makes it not so great for images, but the smaller megapixels allow it to perform its best in low light conditions. Our last honorable mention is the crop sensor king, the Fujifilm X-T3. This camera offers the most bang for buck, simply because of its many built-in features. I'm talking about 4K at up to 60 frames per second, the only camera in our list that achieves this. It also offers 1080p in Full HD at up to 120 frames per second. That's slow-mo for days, bro. And as much as it's a great camera, it does not offer in-body image stabilization, which means that shakes are more visible. So you'd need to have a gimbal for you to get the buttery smooth shots. Alright guys, those have been my cheap but great cameras to consider in 2020. If this video has helped you make a more conscious decision about your next purchase, let me know in the comment section down below. But for now, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already and turn on post notifications. Let's also remember to stay home and stay safe. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Sure.